Hey Gurus, it's me again. Welcome back to CSharp for Pen Testers Part 6. In today's video, we will be doing a bit more CSharp coding and we'll be trying to automate the process of creating an Excel sheet with an embedded macro, and of course, we'll be trying to bypass antivirus using that embedded macro. Everything will be done in CSharp. Let me take you to the code so I can show you how it works. Uh, Before going deeper into this one, the main thing that we are going to achieve is like this. Uh, I hope you know how to do the macro, right? It's we are recording a new macro, and you can add your macro here, and we'll be doing the same stuff using C Sharp. You just note one thing, that this entire stuff is called an application, and this application has a workbook, and this workbook has one default sheet inside the workbook, and this sheet can be accessed inside the code, or you can call this worksheet as a active worksheet when you're opening a new Excel application. So here, before starting, I will show you the main there are two main DLLs that you need to add as a reference. These are external COM libraries that should be there if you want to automate the process of creating Excel sheet with the embedded macro. The first one is Microsoft Visual Basic for applications extensibility, and the second one is Microsoft Excel Object Library. These two DLLs are required in our in our project. You should refer this inside your project to start automating your Excel macro. So let me take you to the code. Yeah, first I will show you how to add that. Uh, in fact, I have created two applications for the same purpose. One was a console application, the other one is a GUI application. I'm going to show you the demo of GUI because that's more convenient. It will be more under like you will get more idea about how it works when you're referring the GUI one. Anyway, I will share the entire source code once I reach the 1K subscribers. So you can try using this code, or you can try yourself after watching this video. The main thing you have to do is right click on the references and add references, and go to the COM, and on the COM here you have to find out those two libraries. I will show you what I added here. On the recent list, I have already added this one, XL16 object library and Visual Basic for applications extensibility 5.3. These are the two external DLLs, COM DLLs we have to add as a reference inside your project. So once if you add that references, we are ready to use that DLL functions and properties inside here. I have done one more thing that I have assigned using references here just to make the code more readable. Like I don't want to use every time this entire path to access some functions or properties. Instead, I can use these VBinterop single word or Excel both words to access the DLL functions and properties. So I'll show you how it works here. Uh, so we have reference of our DLLs here on the top, and this is the first area we are creating our application. Actually, this ender function is defined inside the build Excel buttons click event, and once if you click on that button, this is a functionalities that's going to execute. So we are creating an application Excel application object, and just see we are referring instead of the ender path, this path we are just referring the Excel because I have sent the ender path to this reference. Excel dot application, and then create your Excel application object. Then you're creating a workbook object and a worksheet, and then you are adding your workbook to your to the application. So the same thing that when I showed you that before starting this one, when I did that manually, I showed you how exactly it was. Like there was a application and a workbook, and the workbook was a collection of Excel sheets. Just like this, we are created one workbook variable type, and we are adding the application's workbook to assigning that to this workbook. So this workbook now has a reference to the application's workbook. And we are when we are saying a workbook, the workbook has collections of worksheets, and there will be one worksheet uh, that is always there as a default worksheet, or you can say an active worksheet. That active worksheet reference is added to this worksheet object. So now we have the workbook and worksheet object reference. uh, Workbook is added to the application, and this worksheet is sheet has the reference from the workbook's active sheet. So if in case this is fails, we are just saying that failed to assign active worksheet. The message will pop up. So the next thing is, before going forward, doing anything on that automation part, we have to make some changes on the registry of the current user. This is nothing but changing the security of Excel. The current path of that one is it will be under the current user, software, Microsoft Office, and the version of the Excel that you are using, then the Excel/security. This is the path we have to get access, and we have to add two keys there. Uh, I'll show you what exactly these values are. Access VBOM or VB object model setting to 1 allows us to access the VBA object model extensibility. So if you want to, even if you added the references to our project, if you want to access functionalities of VB object model extensibility, your security settings should not block you. So we make this value to 1 just at the time of coding, and once if we done everything, we are setting it back to the previous values. I'll show you that in the code. Same kind VBA warnings to 1, just to allow us to add macros and enable the macro on the workbook that we are going to create. So that's what we are doing here. We are just setting up the value for access VBOM and VBA warnings to 1, so that going forward we can work on the macro. The next part is the main part. Like everything is main, but the main VB macro code. So you know that you know the basics. I hope that you know the basics of how to create. At least once if you have created manually, you know that the macro code inside is written as Visual Basic VB script uh, type of syntax. Like it's not type of syntax; it's actual VB Visual Basic. So you have to use the Visual Basic syntax to create your own macro when you're doing it programmatically. So here, what I'm doing is I'm creating uh, Excel Visual Basic module, and that Excel Visual Basic module has the type of VB component. And see, I'm accessing the VB component object using VB interop keyword that we assign here on the top instead of referring the indexed path. So once if you created the Excel VB module, we have to add that module to our current workbook, so that we can actually that macro is for the workbook that we are creating the macro for the workbook here. So I'm adding references. I'm taking the references. I have created a variable for a VB module, and I'm adding that VB module component to my workbook here in this line, and I'm just assigning a name for that. And once I created currently, so I have the workbook with a VB module. That means Visual Basic module code module part is there. So we the next thing is we have to add our code, our Visual Basic code to that part. So that we are doing it here. We are adding a Visual Basic module, our code module, and there's a method called add from string. So you can add your code from a predefined string that you already have. That predefined string is here, our reversal macro. And this is the end stuff that help us to bypass antivirus. What actually this is doing is uh, this will get called when when the Excel when the user is going to enable the Excel macro. This will get called automatically. And what happens when it's getting called is there's a inside Visual Basic. You can use a shell command to execute any external binaries or any external application. So I'm using the same command. I'm calling the shell function or shell method or shell sub, whatever it is in Visual Basic. So I'm calling cmd.exe and passing parameter as PowerShell.exe, and I'm calling this function. I'm calling this expression like this is basically going to download this script from our CNC server, and it will get executed in memory of the victim. So everything is going to happen in this line. So this is the actual macro code that's going to run, and it will help us to get our reversal. Here, there are some mm, what to say. There's something you have to be careful that if you're going to use PowerShell directly without calling the cmd.txt, you may get blocked because of the AMSI anti-malware scan interface functions. You just try yourself the difference of using cmd.txt to call PowerShell and calling the PowerShell directly. You can see the difference when you're trying that yourself. So once if you add that here, we have the string, the reversal string, then some sub means is kind of user-defined functions or procedures, whatever is Visual Basic. We have defined that, and we are adding that code as a macro code to our VB module. So once we added that, the next thing is save our Excel sheet and release the COM objects. This is the painful part here. Saving is fine, like we are just saying where to save it. Here, as I shown on the designer, I'm taking the name from the user, and I'm assigning that here user supplier name plus the .xls, and I'm just doing that on the current path where the application is, and because the application has right permission normally on the current path where it is, we are where the application is running normally. If it's not the case, then again it will be anyway you are going to do it in your own machine, so it will be fine. So we are saving it. For saving the workbook, basically we need the name of the path that includes the name, then which format is going to be saved. Here we are going to save it in xl8. xl8 is actually this enumerator specifies it's on 97 and 2003 Excel format. Just confirming it. Yeah, it's 97 2003 workbook. I have selected this one because in XLS format, and this format we can directly add macro uh, to the XLS format. And modern formats, if you want to create macros, its extension is something different. I think xlsm or something. Excel file with macro enable or something is needed. So it's always good to have backward compatibility testing stuff. So you can do a lot of stuff using that kind of either misusing or I don't know how to say that, but this is more safer way to do that. You can try with the new format of xlsm. uh, you can try yourself. That's the main thing you need. And then another parameter here, we are saving access mode of this one, and everything else is null value or just saying missing value. Either is fine. Here this is, I had taken from the reflection. Just when I checked on, when I was searching, most of the people were using this one instead of null values, so I just used it. Because if it's a COM component, it's better to use this kind of stuff instead of the actual null supplied by the CLR. So once if in case there is an exception, it comes here. The main releasing COM releasing objects are done here. I'm just releasing all the objects I have created. All the Visual Basic module, workbook, and worksheet, app, everything will be released from the memory using the release COM object of this Marshall class. But this was not working perfectly for me. CLR was not effective. I don't know the CLR, how the COM component is managed by the CLR. Even I have released this explicitly. There was an Excel references was running inside my task manager. I will show you that. And sometimes when if you try to run this application continuously, on the second time almost it will try to generate an error, uh, especially on this part, and it will show a message that you won't be allowed to add uh, or access these VB components. Probably you will, I will maybe you will get the same error here. If not, I will show you how to generate that error. But it doesn't affect your application. If once if you, what I was doing, I was searching for how to solve it. There were a lot of stuffs to, a lot of information were there to solve it. One was this one, but even after adding this, it was doing the same error. I mean, it was showing the same error. So I couldn't find the exact reason for that. But when once that error occurs, whenever that error was there, I was just closing my entire solution and reopening it. Then it was fine. I don't know what weird uh, error was that. So we are doing once of that there's an exception, we just release the objects and just exit it, and we are doing it on the finally block. We are setting back the registry keys to its original form. uh, why I did put in the finally is finally ensures that whatever reason, if it's an exception or not, the finally block will get executed, and inside the finally we are just again once again just confirming that we are releasing the objects, all the objects. If it's not released, it will be released here. Even after this, it didn't happen. I don't know why. And finally, again, we are calling the garbage collector collect method to inform the CLR to dereference or any of any objects that's there in memory. So that's what the code does. Is basically it's a common thing that we do manually, creating an Excel workbook with an Excel sheet, and then we are adding VB macro component to the workbook. The difference is the main thing is uh, this one. So now it's our CNC server. This IP is actually my tested machine IP. So I will show you what is that. I think this one. Yeah, just confirming my IP is correct. Yeah, it's 75. And here I'm using one application that I did myself. I can use any application, doesn't matter. Like I'm more convenient to use my own application most of the time. Like it's not the complicated applications, but for something like file sharing or HTTP, there are good modules in Python. You can use that. But I'm just showing you the application that I have made in Go. This will allow you to share any folder that is running. wherever it is running, it will help you to share the folder over HTTP. It can be run two different ways. One is you can specify a port on the as a command line parameter, so it will listen on that port. Or else, if you don't specify any port, it will listen on port 80. So I'm using this application. So once if you clone the application, if you just go to the source folder and the binary folder, there's a folder for Linux and another folder for Windows. I'm using the Linux here, and I already have that file. I just made this file, change the CS mode of the file to get made it as executable, and I'm going to run it on port 443 because I have mentioned the 443 here. And before starting that, I will show you the script. This is the same script that I was using to show demos on my previous videos, especially the PowerShell without calling PowerShell.exe. Uh, those two demos in Nimlang and CSharp, I was using the same script. It's just nothing uh, but a simple PowerShell reversal script. Hmm, just open this. Yeah, it's this is main thing here to be careful. This should be either the same machine IP or your CNC server IP, and the port is again. If you're using the same machine, anyway, you can't use the 443 because I'm going to use a 443 for sharing my file. So just because it's already used, I'm using a different port. If you have a different IP, then definitely you can use a 443 in that machine. So because I'm going to use my sharing file and reverse shell IP are on the same machine or same IP I'm using, so I have to use two different ports for that. So one 443 is for sharing my file and 4443 for getting the reverse shell. So minimize it here. I'm going to start 4443 for getting my shell back. Just let it listen there. And here I'm going to start my file sharing application here. So when I'm starting here, this auto files or folders inside the link file will get shared over HTTP. So I want to confirm that 192.168.75 I think, and this is not actually the stuff that we did. It is running by default on my Linux. Our stuff is on 443. See, we have the file here. So it's confirmed that once if you get when you're going to run this, everything is going to fine, when the victim is going to enable the macro, uh, this is a function is going to get executed on the victim machine. So it's going to run this one from our Linux server and it's going to execute it in our memory, and you will get a reversal. So this is fine, and we are our listener. So now let me go to this application, start this application. Just going to XLS test, saying build Excel. Yeah, this was the error I was referring. This shows this error. It says that runtime interrupt service exception. It won't allow programmatic access to Visual Basic keys. Uh, if anyone who knows this what exactly this error is and how to resolve it properly, please comment on the video so I can make it. Actually, I'm using the same technique inside my AV Buster, but I'm using PowerShell inside my AV Buster. In the entire stuff I have done using PowerShell inside AV Buster. But when I'm using AV Buster, I'm not getting this error. But when I'm using this one, uh, C#, I don't know how why I'm getting this error. Anyway, I'm going to stop this and start it again. This is a very weird stuff. Uh, I'll show you the magic. When I'm restarting it and running it again, just to, yeah, this is an Excel. Just end it. Just ending it because I don't want to mess up again if that's the reason. So XLS test. See, now it says Excel with macro created, and it's really funny. I don't know why. So if you know the reason, just please comment it and I will make changes on this one. But my PowerShell script inside the AV Buster is working perfectly. So here I'm saying XLS test, yeah, this is here. And one more thing, if you try to open it from the folder where it's created, you can't open it properly because the release of the COM objects didn't work perfectly, and you may see a different like a locking message, like it's already been used by some other process, or read only. You can open it or read only, some kind of message will come pop up. So what I'm doing is I'm just copying that to some other folder. Anyway, on real time, you have to supply a copy of this file, so it's fine. One more thing is you can, if you want to do it real time stuff, you have to work a bit more on that. Like you have to add pretext in the sense you can add a kind of some kind of graph, so some Excel data. It's very easy, like easy in the sense you just get the active worksheet and add some data to that. Just access the cells of the Excel sheet and add some data to that, and based on that you can create a chart and you can just embed the chart on that. So once when the user is going to open that file, they won't see a plain Excel, they can see your pre-texted phishing Excel. It's up to you if you want to do further explore, just explore more on that. XLS test to retry VM share. It's already something is there. Yeah, it's replace. So what I'm going to do is now I have to VM share XLS. Yeah, this is the Excel. Now if everything is working fine, I will get reverse shell inside this. Actually, this is my working machine. Unfortunately, I don't have any Office packages installed in my virtual box Windows, and it's a pain to add that. I had to sign in and other stuff, so I don't want to do that inside the virtual box machine. So this is a real-time that protection on my actual Windows host where I'm recording this video. So I'm just doing this one as the protection is on. And where is our Excel? See, this one didn't ask me to enable the macro because I have already enabled with the same. This file name was there already, so means I didn't change the file name, or I did open the same file name prior to this demo video, so it didn't ask me to enable the macro. So what happened here on our Linux was I just got the shell, just see alpha user, and you can see still my third production is on. And there is one more funny thing. As I said, I have mentioned that in between. Like it tried to do this after removing the cmd.exe. Then Defender will come in action. It will say that the macro has uh, dangerous code or something, so it won't allow it to do. You will never see the macro. It removes the macro because the power when you're directly calling the PowerShell.exe using the shell command, uh, the anti-malware interface, scan interface will come in picture. So if you want to do something like that, you may need to uh, bypass the AMSA first, then you have to call this. It is possible. You try uh, on your own way, and whatever you can. It's up to your imagination. What are things you can do? Either you can use something like this, or you can entirely craft your shell code in VB. That hope you remember the series. In the beginning of the series, we did the P injection, classic injection, thread injection, real injection. Using that classic P injection, you can call this all the set of APIs here inside the VBA code, and you can do that if you want. But just try that how your defender is reacting to that. And yeah, that's got the shell. Yep, that's it for this video. And once again, I thanks all those who subscribe the channel, and still I'm waiting to get the first benchmark of 1K. I know it's programming, and unfortunately, majority of the guys in security they don't like programming. That's what I felt. Uh, but I think gradually the programming interesting is going up because some of the certifications started including programming skills in their certifications. That's a good sign. So that's it for this video, and